50th anniversary year of our beloved nation. So introducing the pledge tonight, I'm going to go back to a quote from a president from six score years ago who said this. I'll let you figure out how long ago that is and who said it. It is not the critic who counts, not the man who points out how the strong man stumbles or where the doer of deeds could have done them better. The credit belongs to the man who is actually in the arena, whose face is marred by dust and sweat and blood, who strives valiantly, who errs, who comes short again and again because there is no effort without error and shortcoming, but who does actually strive to do the deeds, who knows great enthusiasms, the great devotions, who spends himself in a worthy cause, who at the best knows in the end the triumph of high achievement, and who at the worst, if he fails, at least fails while daring greatly, so that his place shall never be with those cold and timid souls who neither know victory nor defeat. Anyone care to suggest who said those words? Teddy Roosevelt. Teddy Roosevelt. And I'm sure or suspect that a number of you, as you heard him speak those words, were thinking that's an apt description of our current president. But I might say, let it also be an apt description of you. This country is being lost. There is no question about that. We have strayed miles from our Constitution and founding principles. And there isn't anybody else, not even someone in the White House, who's going to turn that around by themselves. It takes every one of you, and it takes more. We love it when you come to New Patriots meetings, but that itself won't do it. It takes our money, it takes our time, and it takes our effort to turn things around so that that flag that we pledge our faithfulness to remains a flag worthy of our pledge. So let us rise and pledge our faithfulness.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
God bless America.
Thank you.
Yes.
Your MC for the evening is Ron Zahn, who's been designated as the MC for Northeast Wisconsin Patriots for, we're concluding 17 years now, into our 18th year of operation. And throughout those years, we've really had a short purpose. It's on the banner you saw as you came in. Preserving that pursuit of life, liberty, and happiness that our founders worked so hard to make possible for us. To those of you who have not been to any of our meetings previously, new faces, we certainly welcome you. We would encourage you to sign up to receive our occasional emails, particularly so that you get programming information. And that sign-up sheet is either on the entry table or may have been moved back here, but it's there. And we appreciate your signing up. Since some of you may need to escape to a restroom and it's not immediate, out the door, through, I think it's 2 or 3 dining halls till you can't go anymore. There'll be a Christmas tree decorated for spring. Take a right and down that hallway are restrooms, and they're very nice. It's worth the walk. And if you have one of those dooley bobs on your wrist, you'll get in about 100 extra steps today. Over here are tables and tables of free stuff. I can't say, Christopher, is everything on that table free, or is it?
The books have a suggested donation.
The books are a suggested donation under $100, I would assume.
2, 5, and 15.
Okay, so everything else though, that the John Birch Society and we, Northeast Wisconsin Patriots, have out there, lots of good literature on a variety of topics. Pick up enough for yourself to share with others, leave at the doctor's office and wherever else you can think of accidentally leaving them. There's value in that. And then, speaking of John Birch Society, we have with us the new Wisconsin-Minnesota field coordinator, Christopher Schaefer. And so we'll give him the mic for a couple minutes so that you learn a little bit about who that field representative is.
Thanks, Ron. It's good to be here. See a lot of familiar faces. Maybe new to the John Birch Society, but not new to the area. Born and raised in Kimberly, been in the legislature, working for representative the last 11 years. Thought it was time for a change, and the opportunity to be the new coordinator presented itself, and I said it's time to take it. We have a country to save, and we need activists who are going to stand up and save the country. So I see my role at twofold: one, as an educator; two, as a missionary. Educating people on the Constitution, liberty, free markets, in order to fulfill a mission, and that mission is to save the country. We can't do it alone. We have several active chapters in the area. Appleton is our base. The John Birch Society is headquartered in Appleton. I think we have 3 chapters there. We have a De Pere chapter. David Kane is the chapter leader here. Definitely would encourage you to join, and you can either join one of those chapters, start another chapter. We just need to get the word out. We need to get copies of our Freedom Index and our Freedom Scores to everybody we can. Surprisingly, one of my most successful regions is in the belly of the beast, Minnesota, Minneapolis. And a lot of activists there have been going around with the legislative scorecards and putting their state legislators and congressmen on notice that, hey, you have a terrible voting record. You're not voting the way the Constitution advises you to vote. You need to do better. And I can say that Minnesota now has, as of the last Freedom Index, 7 Republicans who scored a 100% rating on our Freedom Index. Wisconsin has 0. So I think the highest legislator in our Freedom Index, I think he was an 84 out of 100. So I have some copies over there of our local congressman, local state rep. Feel free to take a look at those. If you want to order any, let me know. I can get them to you. If you own a business and you want to put them out in your business, by all means, let me know. I'll get you some. So I have membership applications back there, some really great books. The Fabian Freeway is probably our most popular. Our CEO actually just flew out to London recently and gave a copy to Liz Truss, who was then Prime Minister. She had no idea about the Fabians, and after she read that book, she was awakened to the dangers of socialism and has been talking about it nonstop ever since she read it. So I'm glad to be here, hoping to get to more of these events. You'll probably see a lot of me. And if you have any questions or want to talk about the John Birch Society, I'll be around after. Thanks.
Thank you so much, Chris, and welcome to the area again. Christopher mentioned the JBS scorecard, which, if I remember or understand correctly, is based very much on, does that vote align with the Constitution or does it not? Wisconsin Conservative Coalition and other groups also have scorecards. They each, some emphasize life issues and virtually nothing else. The WCC scorecard is kind of a mix of a variety of things, and you will find slight differences in scores, so also pick up some of the WCC scorecards which are back there on the table, and take them home, make use of both of them. With that, it's time to pass the hat. And we do that simply because that's our main means of income. If you are willing to drop something in the hat, we appreciate it immensely. And while the hat is being passed, our guest speaker for the night grew up in Pakistan, and I don't want to steal any thunder, but I thought I would share a few things about Pakistan that maybe aren't in her presentation, and she can shoot me if I'm stealing her thunder.
We'll pass the hat just back and forth here.
Okay.
I'm glad to
So when
say
it gets
there's
to
a lot
the
of
end,
people here.
like in some churches, you just put it to the next aisle and
Yep.
it'll come back.
And the table
All right.
is tucked away.
Pakistan, as you know, is a country in South Asia. Picture Afghanistan and Iran sharing its western border, and India sharing its eastern border. Someone said in puzzlement one day, he was in Iraq, and he said, "How did I get from Iraq to Pakistan?" You know what the answer is? Iran. I also must, these are not jokes, I'm just sharing some information about Pakistan. Pakistan also hosts the world's highest concentration of high mountain peaks, including the famous K2, the second highest in the world at between 5 and 6 miles in elevation when you get to the top. And across those peaks there is the world's highest paved international highway, some 800 miles long.
Oh my God.
And averaging around 15,000 feet, 3 miles up there. And by the way, if you need some quick cash, that is also where the world's highest ATM is located. And I want you to know, these are the things you got to take home and remember. What the speaker says after a while, that's not so much. But I tried to find the things that are crucially important for you. There is a city in Pakistan, I don't know if I'll pronounce it right, probably not, Sialkot.
Sialkot.
Is that pretty close?
Sialkot.
Oh, okay. They make 40% of the world's hand-stitched footballs. Well, they call it footballs, we call it soccer. And 40% of the world's hand-stitched soccer balls come from that city. There's over 1,000 little factories producing those high-quality soccer balls. And Pakistan is also predominantly Muslim, which I find strange that its capital is then named Islamabad. I don't know how they would come out with that. And you might wonder, with all these factories and 260 million people, there are no Walmarts in Pakistan. And someone finally figured out why. Of course, it's a country with a lot of political turmoil, revolutionary stuff going on almost every street. It's very difficult, but the speaker will tell you more about that. So the reason there aren't any Walmarts is that there's a Target on every corner. I wish you wouldn't waste time laughing, because we want to allow time for our speaker to
We shouldn't encourage you.
So with that, I am going to introduce you to Myra. Some of you know her as Myra Chan, but recently changed to Myra Geraldson. And I do have a very important question to ask you, Myra. I am told by a preeminent American political party that if you are a lady, if you are an immigrant who has become a citizen, if you got your name changed, could you vote? You figured out how. Did you need a lawyer? Interesting that you can still vote, because I have heard again and again and again that you cannot vote, that other party wants to stop you. Well, thank you for that. But then she's a very talented lady, so maybe that's not the picture for all. So, but she was born and raised in Pakistan and came here more recently. And so tonight we have the privilege of hearing her story, her first-hand impressions, and as it says on the screen, the competing visions for America impact of extreme ideologies in the United States. So with that, welcome Myra, please.
Thank you everybody for being here tonight. As many of you know, my name is Myra. I moved to the United States in 2015 and became a proud citizen of the United States in the year 2022. Just to let you guys know a little bit about me, I was in an arranged marriage at the age of 19 and a half. The marriage did not work, and here I am now, alive and well, because America took a chance on me, and I'm standing here in front of you guys and going to share a little bit about what I grew up with and what we need to do here to save our country. We have a country to save. And I think some of you know I started my journey here in the United States with only $40 in my pocket. I worked at Walgreens for years and then made my way into financial industry with time. God has truly blessed me. My husband over there, he's hearing me speak for the first time in public, so good luck, honey. So what brings me here today are the rights that America has given me. However, it was not always the case. I want to share something that a lot of you know already, but I just wanted to put this up on the screen. The First Amendment. Can anybody read that out loud for us here?
Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion or prohibiting the free exercise thereof, or abridging the freedom of speech, or of the press, or of the right of the people peaceably to assemble, and to petition the government for a redress of grievances.
Great. Thank you, Ron. So I need some participation from audience. What are our core freedoms?
Religion.
Yes. So there are 5 of them. Can anybody name them?
Free speech?
The right to bear arms.
Religion?
Assembly.
Yes.
Appeal to
So
the government.
yes, that. So these are our 5 core freedoms that are foundational to American civic life. Freedom of speech, freedom of religion, freedom of press, freedom of assembly, and freedom to petition. And like Ken said, freedom to bear arms, Second Amendment, I love that. Well, I grew up with none of those rights we just discussed. It might be a foreign concept to some of you, but we need to talk and act on it now. Or why I'm here is I want to tell you, my past can very well be your future. Before I start, I want to clarify that the idea of me sharing anything here today about my life in Pakistan is not to scare anybody. These are only the facts that motivate me to continue to spread the truth and do my part to keep America great. I grew up in a Christian family in the Islamic Republic of Pakistan. Life looks a lot different than what we have here, and not for the better. Let me paint a picture for you of how my life looked like when I was growing up. I was not allowed to go out without the company of a male. That male does not have to be an adult. It can be my 2-year or 4-year-old brother. It just has to be a male. Doesn't make sense now, but that's how it was. I had to wear a headscarf every time I went out. If I did not, I could get shouted at by a mullah or could fear getting beaten up or raped because apparently it's too much hair and skin I am showing. So does everybody know what mullah is? Okay, so mullah is basically like we have priests in church. So it's a very prominent Muslim figure and they can yell at you if in public if they see you doing something that they don't like. If I said something about Prophet Muhammad or Islam that they don't like, I could get killed. By getting killed means I could get burnt alive, I could get raped, or I could get beaten. Whatever they saw fit, basically, they decide the punishment. Imagine going to church and fearing 100% of the time while you're worshiping that you might get bombed at any point in time because there is too much control from one extreme side. And by the way, there is no Second Amendment there. So God bless America. During the Islamic Lent season, which we are starting to see here in the United States now, you cannot eat outside unless you want to be called out different names. You're expected to comply their law for fasting. So pretty much you're fasting with them, even though you're not fasting. They would tell you that the smell of the food is too much, or you just can't be doing that. So unless you are at home, don't do it. You cannot disagree with anybody, or you will lose friends and family, which it seems starting to seem familiar here as well. But that's what I grew up with. I don't want that here. You wake up to Islamic prayers 5 times a day. So the Islamic prayers were Fajr, Dur, Asr, Maghrib, and Isha. So they named these prayers after the times of the day they perform them, and the first prayer starts at 4 a.m. So because I grew up with that, I still remember how it started and how it ended. Because that's what I grew up with. It's just in my brain, and that's what I remember to this day. Even though that's not the religion I followed, I was Christian, that's something that is ingrained in my brain by the system that I grew up with. When something like 9/11 happens, I was there, I was in my school van at the time when we heard about it. Christians like me had to stay quiet and stay the course, or you could be killed. After all, it's an Islamic regime. So let me give you a little bit of detail on that. So we had some Muslim girls sitting in the van with us, and they're like, oh, Bin Laden did it, and they are just celebrating, and we are just looking at their face, like we're just quiet. And because my mom was like, you can't say a word or you can get killed, which I just explained how, like, whatever they see fit. There is no way you're going to make it out alive. That's blasphemy. Pakistan has one of the strictest and harshest blasphemy laws in the world. So anything I mentioned above, if I was talking about this back there, it could become a reason for me to get killed, raped, burned alive. Just imagine, like, whatever they see fit would be my punishment. I'm going to just read some of these incidents to you. These happened while I was there in Pakistan. In between 1980 and 2025, there have been several cases that have made headlines. In June 2009, Asia Bibi, a Catholic woman from Punjab, was arrested and prosecuted under Penal Code 295C after supposedly making derogatory remarks about the Islamic prophet Muhammad. Bibi was convicted and sentenced to death in November 2010, as well as fined the equivalent of $1,100. Okay, that is a lot of money in Pakistan. On October 2018, following several unsuccessful appeals, Bibi's death sentence was overturned by Pakistan Supreme Court. However, she was prevented from leaving the country by the order of the government of Pakistan until May 8, 2019, when she was reunited with her family in Canada. So how did she make it out of Pakistan? Because this case caught a lot of attention from media, and people from England at that time and Canada, they joined hands together and got her out. Otherwise, she would have been killed. But on January 4th of 2012, Salman Taseer, he was a governor of Punjab, the province that I grew up in. He was shot dead in Islamabad by his bodyguard, Mumtaz Qadri, for his opposition to Pakistan's blasphemy laws and support for Asia Bibi. So I was in college at that time, and I had a teacher. She was like, well, this is exactly what should be happening to anybody who tries to change that law. All he was saying is that if we are going to sentence somebody to death, we should at least look into facts, we should investigate it thoroughly, and then if it makes sense, we should move forward. That's what all he was basically proposing. But because he questioned that, he got killed. Another case was in January 2014, Muhammad Asghar, a 70-year-old British man from Edinburgh, was convicted to blasphemy and sentenced to death by a court in Rawalpindi. Now, that's the city I grew up in. Asghar had initially been arrested in 2010 after sending letters in which he declared himself a prophet, and had lived in Pakistan for several years prior to his arrest and trial. Following the stroke in 2010, doctors in Edinburgh diagnosed Asghar with paranoid schizophrenia. He spent a month in psychiatric hospital before leaving for Pakistan. In September 2014, Asghar was shot in the back by a prison guard for reasons unknown. So anyways, I think by me talking about this, you guys now realize there's no freedom of speech. You can't say anything. You have to keep your mouth shut. Here's a list of a few countries that have 90% or more Muslim population. So these are just 24 countries. There are 52 countries in the world right now that are Islamic. So I'll let you just go through that, and then we'll move on. Yes, I'll read those out to you. So Pakistan has 96%, 1.8% is Christian, and then the rest are other minorities like Hindus and other religions. And Somalia has 99%. That's a surprise. Bangladesh 90%, Iran 99%, Turkey 98%, Egypt 90+%, Algeria 99%, Morocco 99%, Saudi Arabia 99%, Iraq 95%, Afghanistan 99%, Yemen 99%, Sudan 90+%, Jordan 95%, Tunisia 99%, Libya 96%, Senegal 95%, Mauritania 99%, Mali 99%, Niger 98%, and Djibouti 94%, Comoros 98%, Tajikistan 95%, Turkmenistan 90%, Palestine 97%, and Syria 90+%. So I have a question now. How many of those countries do any of us love to visit, even when there are very beautiful places that can be visited? Ron was talking about some of them. And I can tell you they are very, very beautiful. Let me ask each one of you why. Well, because they're not the safest. Nobody wants to go to a place where they may go to enjoy, but then chance the risk of getting killed or not coming back. At least 515 cases of abduction and forced conversion involving minority women and girls were reported in between 2021 and 2025, according to a study by Lahore-based Christian Center for Social Justice. Well, Lahore-based center. Hindu girls accounted for 69%, followed by Christian girls at 31%, while 2 cases involved Sikh victims. Sikh is another caste. More than half of the victims were in between 14 and 18 years old. And about 20% were under 14, the report found. In Open Doors 2026 World Watch List, it ranked Pakistan 8th among countries where Christians face the most severe persecution, citing systematic discrimination, mob violence, forced conversion, and weak law enforcement. So So let me just go over forced conversions because we don't have that concept here in the United States. So forced conversion is something that it's basically if you are a Christian and a Muslim guy wants to marry you, or a guy from another religion wants to marry you, they can force you into marrying them by threatening your life. Throwing acid on women's face is very, very common. So they just would threaten you, threaten your family, things like that, and would force you to do something that sometimes you don't want to do. And when the family comes and asks what happened, they would say that, well, it was my choice, because they unfortunately cannot say anything to save their family or themselves or just care for their life. I forgot to say something in the beginning. I would love for you guys to write questions to ask in the end of my presentation. I love questions. If there's something I miss, if there's something that causes you to, that, hey, I want to know more about it, please do ask. I love questions.
Write it down.
Yes. Write them down. There's a piece of paper on your table or on your chair. Please make sure to write those down there. So if people from the question that arose in my head after I was reading all of that, I was like, if people from third world countries are able to find asylum in these situations in European countries and countries like Canada and the United States of America, where would these people go if they're accused? Now, if those countries are being taken over by the same extreme ideologies also, where would those people go? Because we are the safe haven for some of those people. Obviously, you have to do things the legal way. But that's a question I won't answer. Take that back with you, or we can talk more about it in the end. Why am I sharing all of this with you today? It is not happening in America yet, is it? Like, I'm safe, why do I care, right? Well, the reason I care is, let me just share this video with you that I copied from internet, and it spoke to me a lot. Oh, I don't know what happened here, but I want to show that video to you, so I'm just going to see if that works here. That was Malaysia, Somalia, video, but I think that it's very powerful. It talks a lot about how civilizations change. Persia did not become Iran overnight. Afghanistan was not taken over by Taliban overnight. Okay, perfect. I mean, we can leave that here because we'll be talking about that later in a little bit. Thanks, Diane. Minnesota did not become the state that it is overnight. New York did not start getting run by a democratic socialist Muslim mayor overnight. These kind of acts take time and a lot of planning. The America I came to felt safe, but it is starting to take a turn with recent events, and very quickly. The open call for death to America. People supporting groups like Antifa and Intifada brings a great deal of concern to me. That is something that I feared growing up. One group calling for the death of the other group. No matter what you say, that First Amendment that was on the screen, that is what we are all about. We have freedom of speech here. But we have to be respectful. We have to be loving. I come from a Christian family. I follow Jesus, and I think that whatever we do, we have to do it with love and truth. right? So that is something that's very concerning. I think that I believe that there's a direct correlation in between socialism and extreme Islam or Sharia law that I grew up with. Now let me explain. Who knows what jizya is? Does anybody know what jizya is? Jizya. So jizya is a term basically that believers use to collect taxes from non-believers. Non-believers can be anybody who does not believe in the same God as you. One of our core freedoms, freedom of religion. So, but what we are starting to see, if in some places in the United States, if you don't believe in the same God as them, they're hateful, or in the same things as them, they become hateful. And the sad part is, we know it's fraud, but they don't think it's fraud. They might not think it's fraud. Because that's what they learn. That's what they know. So we have to be the smart ones, learn what it means, and then understand their side. You cannot solve a problem if you don't know what the problem is. You have to know the problem to find the solution. Let's move on. Does anybody know what taqiyya is?
Yeah.
Okay. Taqiyya is basically, it allows a Muslim to lie and deceive as long as it helps you get to your end goal. So if you want to, say, get into an office or whatever your end goal is, whatever lie you have to tell to get to that goal is fine, and you're going to get a path to heaven as long as you're doing it for Allah. I'm sure a lot of you would know this jihad. Have you guys heard that term? Yes. So jihad is basically waging a war, and it allows an extreme Muslim to kill in the passage to get to Allah and get 70 virgins. Because non-believers, in their eyes, do not have the right to live. We are dirty, we are infidels, so we shouldn't live. We make this place such a dirty place in the world that they think that it's right for them to kill us. And please take note that I'm not saying Muslim, I'm saying extreme Muslims, because I had Muslim friends growing up. So I'm talking about extreme Muslims. So I just want to clarify that. A Muslim man is allowed to have 4 wives. Now that's the Islamic teaching. So they're allowed to have 4 wives according to Islam. And with those 4 wives, what we are seeing in the United States, that you can have, well, if you have 4 wives in the United States, you can have as many children as you like. But here in the US, just last year, 1.1 million babies were aborted or were killed. We're talking about that 1.1 million babies that could be the future of America. Maybe one of them could have been the president of the United States one day. But what we see here now, that the Muslims and the people who actually don't love America, they are having babies and they're growing their population. What happens when their population grows and ours decreases day by day? It's only a matter of time. I grew up with Sharia law, and it brings nothing but agony and pain, and society needs, and us people, we need to get our act together. I was thinking about it. What is the purpose of immigration? And so I looked it up, and I kind of thought about it, and I was like, well, it is to boost American economy, and it is to benefit American citizens, and anybody who comes here should be contributing to our society. Now, I'm not against other cultures. I love listening to, I was just telling Ron, I love Indian songs, I love making curry. Though that's fine. But what's not fine is when you come here and then you are spreading hate, and you are basically trying to, has anybody, we all know how Minnesota looks today. That's really sad. So you basically brought the same thing here that you were trying to get rid of when you came to United States. Also, immigration is to boost economy. But it has taken a turn, and now our taxpayers are paying towards this fraud and towards these leaders who don't know what to do. It's very, very sad that some of these leaders, they don't really care about America and for American people. They care about how many dollars they can put into their pockets. And I'm telling you, it's only a matter of time they will be able to keep that, because what they're doing is dangerous. If this country is not America or is taken by another culture, then that would be the only culture that they have. That's what basically socialism is, and that's what's been promoted in a lot of cities, and we see that around the United States now. You know why? Because it's hard for me to say, but it is the truth. Some of the conservatives, they don't go out, they think or rethink that it's only important to vote in presidential elections. So every 4 years we do our job, and then we sit at home and we do nothing because president is gonna do everything for us. That's not how it goes, friends. Local races, Supreme Court races, matter just as much. America was built on Christian values. America may not be a Christian nation, but it was built on Christian values. How do we protect those values? We have to get the good leaders in the office. We have to understand the concept of what socialism brings. I think it's totally evil, but that's not what some people now here in the United States think, because they haven't experienced it. That's another thing. I have lived with it because it's very close. I wrote something while I was sitting on my desk today, and I was so this is what I wrote. Socialism can provide you with the loaf of bread on their condition, but they won't and don't understand the concept of the dream and freedom. They won't, or maybe they do, but they don't want to do anything about it. I'm a believer that in America you can start from nothing and go anywhere you want. Islamism, extreme Islamism, and socialism takes that. And if it takes that away, you're not getting it back. You can see Minnesota now, it grows. So they have a congressman, they're going to try and elect a mayor, then the next thing is the police officers. It's very difficult. We can say that, it's not going to happen in America. No, it is. It is happening. We are surrounded by those cities where at least I don't want to go live in Chicago, Illinois, and then Michigan, Minnesota. So what do we need to do? We need to work together. Look at it, Mamdani offering Islamic prayers in city halls now. And while they are the ones who scream that we have to keep the state and religion separate, but then this is what they do. I think it's fair of me to think that he has a different agenda in mind. Would you guys agree?
Yeah.
And that agenda is not pretty and for the betterment of America. We had a shooting in Texas just a few weeks back from an extreme Muslim man. He was wearing a shirt. I don't remember what that shirt said, but it said something about
Property of Allah.
Property of Allah, yes. All of these people coming out in recent weeks and shouting Allahu Akbar is basically asking us to give in and comply. That's not okay, Americans. We are Americans, and we are the greatest country on the planet. We are built that way because we have that constitution and amendments that we follow. And we are on the brink of losing that. those people who are going out shouting Allahu Akbar and all of that, those are the same people who follow Sharia law. And I just showed you a video that, like I said, did not happen overnight. It takes planning and it takes a lot of work, but they're consistent. We have to stay consistent in sharing this with our friends, going out and getting involved. Some of the people that I've spoken with, they think that I'm being fearful. I don't think I'm being fearful. Talking about it is not about feeling threatened or being fearful. It's about being aware and taking precautions, making a plan, and working towards keeping our value, culture, and constitutional republic intact. If we don't, like I said in the beginning, my past will be our future. I am so thankful and so excited that I get to be here and sharing this with you. I can share a little bit more about my life too. Please bring those questions to me. But I'm really, really privileged and honored. And that's all great. But if I just talk here and we go home and we get a good night's sleep and then wake up and get on with our days, I would feel less accomplished. I do have an action plan for us here, and I need you guys to join hands with me here and work towards a better future. What you guys can do is share this with your friends, get involved with NEW Patriots. They're a great group. Get involved with your local GOP, get involved with your church groups. I think we can all use a helping hand to help each other and save America. I think that's very important. Become an activist, become a poll worker. We have a long road ahead, but friends, I think that together we can get there. Here, and if you don't, I just have a couple examples and I will show these. This was the first one. She has replaced her American flag with the Pakistani flag. Why is she doing that? We are in America and she is representing American people. She should be, at least. Guess what happens the next thing? They changed the flag in Somalia already. But this is America, you people. We can't be having that, or at least if they are, we should be able to call them out. We should not be scared. That's all right. The next picture here. This was very interesting. I saw this and I Googled her. I was like, how is this possible? Remember when I shared that when 9/11 happened, there were people and schoolgirls that were laughing and were like, yeah, we did it. Now they're saying, they're here in the United States. She's running for New York State Senate and she's saying 9/11 was America's fault due to capitalism, racism, white supremacy, and Islamophobia. I'm not being Islamophobic here. I'm just telling the truth. That's what I grew up in. That's not Islamophobic. That's facts. But that's dangerous. Should we be putting people like that into the office? No. I think there was this guy, Omar Fateh, who ran and I think lost. I'm not complaining about that. But we have to be careful about and very intentional about voting, getting out, talking to people, and spreading the truth. That's what we are all about, people. We have to share the truth. We have to stand up for our freedoms. We have to do what's right. Because only in America you have all these freedoms. I mean, look at UK. They have lost what they had. I mean, yes, and I mean, just 60, 70 years ago, Britishers, they had a lot of they were just doing everything right, and then
I'm from the UK.
Great.
Yeah.
Well, what do you think about it?
I'm just so sad for my country over there.
It's really sad.
It's very, very sad.
Yes, so, I mean, I went to UK in 2025, and London looked nothing like I had imagined. And then I heard the next day that there was a stabbing. And then there are women that are getting raped.
Yeah, the rape gangs, have you heard about the rape gangs?
Yes, I have, and it's extremely sad. Do you guys want that in the United States? I mean, it's happening in some parts, but do you really want that here? We shouldn't. We should stand up against that. But guys, I'm sharing this because that's very normal where I grew up. And then they actually get you married to the man who raped you.
The government is covering it up too.
Yes. That's why we need good leaders. That's why it's so important to get the right people in the office. We need to tell people to get out and get the right people into the offices. Because if the government becomes corrupt, if we have a socialist government, then you guys know what happens. I mean, I think we have a very knowledgeable group here. So we know what comes next. And like I said, sometimes the rapist is marrying the girl, that's what their parents want, that's what the society wants. Think about that woman's life. It's over. That's what I grew up with. That's what I had to face myself. I mean, once I got out of my arranged marriage, I lost part of my family. They did not want to associate with me, which is fine because in America, I have found my family. My husband is sitting over there and he loves me. I know what the true meaning of love and togetherness and what marriage looks like or should look like. But I did not always know that. I'm only sharing this because I do not want that here in the United States. We are a great country and we must keep it that way. But it won't stay that way if we don't work together. During their event, it's called Eid they sacrifice animals because that gets you to heaven. I mean, Jesus died on the cross for me, but that's basically one of the events. And you would see animals getting slaughtered on roads. And you see their intestines, and then the rain comes and then it washes it away. It's just dirty, it's just unhygienic. Now we have designated spots here in the United States now, but it won't be that long if that's what we have to be just careful. I think the immigration system needs a reform too. I'm an immigrant, I love America, and we need to make sure that if that immigrants here, if you are here to bash America, calling out debt to America, why are you here?
Take it over.
Well, yeah. So you have to understand, think about these things logically, understand what actually the common end goal is. And if they have a goal, then we should work together. We should join hands together and we should be very, very thoughtful about and intentional about what we are doing. I mean, I love Charlie Kirk. I think about him, I still listen to him every day. I think he was very smart and he was on the right path. He brought a lot of kids together. And I think we had a very revolutionary election, this past election when President Trump won. I was very impressed. But the job is not done because he's gone. I think his wife is doing a great job. But that's not just to TPUSA or some other groups. It's to all of us. We all should do something. It's not about a group of 10 people who meet and are like, we want to do this. Because they can only do so much. It takes the whole village. And I know that you guys know that. So that is my appeal to you today, that please, when you go home, make a plan about how you can serve your country. Because I bet you can. If your time doesn't allow, maybe take out 10, 20 minutes. Thank a neighbor, make relationships. And around, if something like this comes up, take them with you. It takes that much. It takes that much effort if you don't have time. But I think I'm going over time. I just want to have some time for questions as well. I again am very thankful. Yes, ma'am.
So I want to say, so I'm the